Subscribe to our channel and press the bell icon to never miss an update. Join the only official Telegram channel of Rao's IAS Study Circle to get relevant material and important updates. Important announcement. First batch of QIP or Quality Improvement Program has already begun on 12th of this month. QIP classes would cover up more relevant and sought after topics for the upcoming prelims examination. This program would cover history, polity, geography and environment, science and technology, economy and international relations in 50 hours. Next batch of QIP would start on 3rd of May 2021. Hello everyone and welcome to Daily News Simplified, where we venture into what, why and how of daily current affairs published in the Delhi edition of the Hindu newspaper. Articles dated 16th of April 2021 that are put up for today's discussion are listed on your screen, and the time stamping for the same is provided in the description box. So let us start with the first article. Well, the first article talks about the appointment of judges in the High Courts of India. This topic also deals in the polity aspect of the syllabus in terms of prelims as well as the mains examination. The article was published in the Hindu newspaper on the page first itself. The article talks about a small contentious issue between the government of India and the Collegium of the Supreme Court. The Supreme Court has actually questioned the central government for its delay on the implementation of recommendation for judges' appointment in various high courts. Supreme Court has simply asked that why you are not appointing the judges to the various high courts. Attorney General of India has replied that government will take the decisions in the next 3 months. The Attorney General of India is K.K. Venugopalan. He is the highest law officer working for the central government in India. Well, the background to this issue is very simple. There are about 220 judges appointment which are actually pending in the various high courts for the past 6 months, and in some cases even a year. Through this article, we will look into how the judges in the high courts are appointed, and we will also go into some and small historical background on the appointment of the judges to the high court. Well, judges in the high courts are appointed by the President of India. There is no other authority who will appoint a high court judge in India. Well, there are 3 forms in which high court judges are appointed. The Chief Justice of High Court is appointed by the President in consultation with Chief Justice of India and the governor of that specific state. Now, point to remember, in this case, apart from governor, no other authority from the state is consulted. Hence, given the integrated judiciary we have in the country, state government, including the state legislature, have no power in appointment or even the removal of high court judges. The high court in a state functions as per the integrated judiciary system of Constitution of India. Apart from Chief Justice of India, the other judges are appointed by the President on consultation with Chief Justice of India, Governor of that specific state, and also the Chief Justice of that specific High Court. Now here comes 4 people: President, Chief Justice of India, Governor, and the Chief Justice of that specific High Court. If President want to appoint a judge to the High Court of Allahabad, he will consult the Chief Justice of India, Governor of Uttar Pradesh, and the Chief Justice of Allahabad High Court. If there is a case where judges are to be appointed to the common high courts, now India have multiple high courts which are common to one or more states. In this case, the governor of those states will also be consulted. So if there is a high court where 3 states are sharing the power, in that case, all the 3 governors of those states will be consulted in the appointment of those judges. Moving ahead to the historical background. Now, judges appointed has always been a case of controversy in India. Hence, under these 3 cases, Supreme Court has tried itself to provide a clear idea on how this appointment process should take place. Under first judges cases, Supreme Court has said that the consultation or the advice provided by the Chief Justice of India is not binding on the President. It simply means that despite the consultation made by the Chief Justice of India, President can take his own side or his own decision. This has created a controversy because this raises the discretion of the executive in the appointment in the judiciary. Under second judge's case, Supreme Court has ruled that the advice provided by the Chief Justice of India is binding on the President. Hence, President cannot change that advice at his own discretion. Plus, Supreme Court has also stated that before advising something to the President, Chief Justice of India will also consult two senior most judges of the Supreme Court. Under third judge's case, Supreme Court has ruled that the advice should be based on the majority principle. So, in the judgment under second judge cases, when Supreme Court said the Chief Justice of India should take the advice or consultation from the two senior most judges, under third judge's case, it has said that majority principle should take the precedence. It simply means if Chief Justice of India is taking advice of 5 judges, then he should only forward the advice to the President if 3 of the judges out of 5, that is majority, agree on that advice. Apart from these 3 cases, there was another case which talks about the National Judiciary Appointment Commission or National Judicial Appointment Commission. However, in 2015, it was struck down by the Supreme Court itself. So as of now, there is collegium system. Collegium system is the one which advises the President on the appointment of judges to the Supreme Court as well as to the High Court. Judges to the subordinate courts are not appointed by the President. That comes under the specific state government and specific state high courts. The next article in the line is related to the National Pension Scheme. This article was published on the first page of Hindu newspaper. This article actually says that government has brought some basic changes in the NPS scheme and its beneficiaries. Well, we will read about the NPS scheme and its benefit and some of the keywords in the article itself. National Pension Scheme is a voluntary, so you are not forced to be a partner or a peer. You are not forced to be a subscriber in the scheme. It is completely voluntarily. It is a social security scheme, which means it will give you a kind of social security for a longer period of time. This scheme also talks about the long-term investment. Now, long-term investment here means that this scheme will collect large amount of funds from the general public in various installments, and it will provide you the benefits of long-term investment gains. So once you have invested a particular amount of fund in this scheme, on the retirement, when you will leave a particular job, you will get a certain percentage in lump sum amount and the leftover in different installments, which we normally call as pension. This scheme functions under the PFRDA. PFRDA is Pension Fund Regulatory and Development Authority. It is a regulator in the pensions sector. It is also under the central government, so NPS will not function under any specific state government, so it is a kind of a national scheme. This scheme is open to all the citizens of India, irrespective of your stay or your residence or the work you do. It is open to every possible citizen in India if they are under the age bracket of a working population. At max, a person who is 70 years of age is eligible under this scheme. So once you reach an age of 71, you automatically becomes ineligible under the scheme and you will be received as retired. Going by the benefits of the scheme, there is a certain percentage of corpus after the retirement. As I said earlier, if you have invested, let's say 10 lakh rupees over a period of 30 years, then after retirement, you will get a certain percentage of that 30 lakh plus the interest rate in a lump sum amount or a lump sum corpus. The remaining amount will be provided as a monthly pension. So the leftover amount from that 10 lakh rupees will be given to you as a monthly pension in different installments only after the retirement. This scheme also provides some tax benefits. So if you want to have a tax benefit, you want to save your tax, you can subscribe to this scheme. Now, the important term which was mentioned in the articles was annuity. Now, what is annuity? Annuity is simple, a contract between you and the insurance company or maybe a pension company in which you have make a lump sum payment or a series of payment. Now, there are two ways to make a payment. Either you can deposit the entire 10 lakh rupees in one go, or you can give the 10 lakh rupees in different installment, and that installments can easily be deducted from your salary on the monthly basis. And after the submission of that payment, in returns, you will receive a regular disbursement. Disbursement here could be a pension or any other EMI or installment money which you get. Now, what is the impact? This article actually also talks about that because of the inflation, the government has taken such a decision. Now, what is the impact and what is the negative returns? Well, when the interest rate which you receive on a particular amount of fund in a bank is less than the inflation. Let's understand this in simpler terms. Assume that the inflation rate in the country is 6%. However, the interest rate which you are getting on the saving account in your bank is just 4%. Now, when the inflation is high, then the rate of interest you are getting in the bank, why would you ever thought or why would you ever think of going to a bank and keep your money? You will think to spend that money to buy goods and services in the current period. Hence, whenever the inflation is higher than the rate of interest in the saving instruments, people tend to spend more and save less. Hence, higher inflation provides you the negative returns on the saving instruments, and this is why the government has taken a decision to change some basic instruments under this scheme. Now, the basic instrument under this scheme will say that NPS will no longer compel the investors to convert the 40% of their accumulated retirement corpus to an annuity. Now, earlier what was the provision that if you have 10 lakh rupees of your funds accumulated at the gap of 30 years, you will have to take 40% as the annuity. Annuity simply means in a basic installment. However, government, because of the rising inflation, has changed this mandatory provisions and it is no longer required by the investors to go for 40% to their annuity. Moving ahead to the next article. This article is related to the important aspect of UPSC prelim examination, and that aspect is related to the important international and national reports. UPSC has been very proactive in asking about reports published by an important international organization, and in that respect we will be discussing about this report which is published by United Nations Population Fund. However, the abbreviation used in the article is different. Well, we will talk about that later on. This report published by United Nations Population Fund is titled as My Body, My Own. This report actually talks about the physical rights enjoyed by the female gender in the society, especially the developing nations. The article has provided a keyword which is also called as bodily autonomy. Bodily autonomy is defined as the power and agency to make choices about your body or your physical body without the fear of violence or having someone else decide for you. Well, it simply means that whatever rights you have regarding your physical appearance, your physical body or your physique is based on your personal choices. This article actually talks about the bodily autonomy enjoyed by the females in our society. The report says that only 55% of the women are fully empowered to make choices over their healthcare, the use of contraceptives, and ability to say yes or no to the sexual intercourse. It also says that 75% of the countries legally ensure full and equal access to the contraception. It simply means that there are still 25% nations across the globe which does not provide any legal insurance for the use of contraceptives to the women. Some of the bodily violence, according to the report, include the child marriage, which is very high in nations like India. It also talks about female genital mutilation, which is very high in West Asian nations, and also talks about the lack of contraceptive choices available to the women. The report also talks about the unwanted sexual exchange demanded from a woman or a female gender against the home or food. The report also talks about that female gender have fear of walking down the street in many societies because they fear assault and humiliation. The report also highlights some of the issues faced by a person with disability. It includes accessibility to a public place or even a dignified life in the society. Moving ahead to the publisher itself. United Nations Population Fund is a subsidiary organization of UN General Assembly or UN Family. It works as a sexual and reproductive health agency and began its operation in 1969. In 1987, it was officially renamed as United Nations Population Fund. However, the abbreviation which was mentioned in the article, as you can see in the slide, the abbreviation mentioned here, UNFPA, was renamed. UNFPA stands for United Nations Fund for Population Activities. This fund is not at all supported by UN budget. However, this kind of in-depth information is not required for the UPSC. However, you should keep in mind that there are certain UN bodies which are not funded by the UN budget itself. Instead, this fund is entirely supported by voluntary contributions of donor governments, which include both developing and developed nations, intergovernmental organizations, private sectors, foundations, and even the individuals. UNFPA works directly to tackle sustainable development goals. You should have idea at least about the top 10 out of 17 goals under SDG. Learn them by heart. They are very helpful to score high in your means answer writing. So this fund works or tackles issues under SDG, especially the health under SDG 3, education under SDG 4, gender equality under SDG 5. The mandate of this fund is established by United Nations Economic and Social Council, which is a very, very important organization for working for the socio-economic development across the globe, especially the developing and poor nations, including India. Moving ahead to the next article. Next article in the today's discussion lineup is related to the WPI or Wholesale Price Index. WPI inflation has quickened to a record of 7.4%, which is a matter of concern. We will not go into the detail of this article because we have already discussed the inflation and its related components and aspects in much more detail in the DNS discussion 13th of April 2021, just 3 days back. You can follow that link and you can go through the detailed analysis of WPI. This article published on the page 8 of the Hindu newspaper talks about the issues and the problems faced by the overseas citizens of India. This is very, very much relevant for your General Studies paper 2 in your mains examination, where India's diaspora is asked. Well, as per this article, the government of India, because citizenship comes under the government of India, India holds a single citizenship under the part 2nd of the Indian Constitution. This article simply says that Central has eased the guidelines for the OCI card holders. Now, going into the context of the article, government has simplified the process of maintaining the overseas citizens of India cards. Now, OCI card holders will require to get their documents reissued only once. Now, this is the key of the article. Only once at the age of 20 instead of multiple times needed currently. Going by the benefit of this move, this removal of multiple time entry has reduced or removed altogether the confusion to many OCI card holders for renewing their card at the age of 20 and 50. Now, what was the current prospect? At present, people who want to hold this card have to go at the age of 20 and at the age of 50 to get their card renewed. Now, removal of this multiple need to visit the authorities has definitely eased out the process of holding this card. This will also bring ease of governance and will definitely please our brothers and sisters staying outside India. This would definitely encourage more overseas Indians to become OCI card holders. Definitely, if you provide less red tapeism, if you provide less over governance, people would be encouraged to sign up for OCI card benefits. It will benefit India through their travel, business and investment measures. Less government interventions in the OCI renewal process will definitely encourage them to visit India time and again for different purposes, including travel, business and investment. Now, what are OCI cards? OCI cards, or the Overseas Citizens of India card, provide a long-term free travel and stay in India. As you know, if you are not a citizen of India, you require certain documentation in order to visit India. And for enemy nations, that is nations at which India had been on war, for those citizens or the citizens of those nations require multiple documentation in order to prove the legitimacy of their visit. However, if you are a OCI card holder, you will not require those documentation time and again. It will provide you a long-term visa-free. You will not require a visa or a permission from the government. You will get visa-free entry for a long period of time. It also gives the card holder a host of privileges normally not given to a foreign national. So let's say there is a foreign national, for example, Tom Cruise want to visit India. So for Tom Cruise to visit in India, there will be high number of documentation. On the other hand, if a person who holds the OCI card want to visit India, he will get many privileges on that regard. A person who has got registration as OCI card holder prior to attaining the age of 20 will have to get the OCI card reissued. So if a person is, let's say, age 10 years and he or she wants to get the OCI card, that card would be reissued only once, because they have removed the criteria at the age of 50. So it will be issued only once. When new passport is issued after his or her completing 20 years of age to capture his or her facial features. Once a person attains the adulthood after the 18th year of age, their facial features become stabilized. So there is very less change in the facial features. Hence the government says that at the age of 20 you can acquire or get your card reissued from the authorities. So far, India has issued about 37.72 lakh OCI cards across the globe. Going into the detail of what OCI is. Well, if we compare OCI with the PIO card holders, although both of them have been merged by now, OCI card holders get a lifelong visa validity. For them, foreign regional registration office registration is not required. So they need not to go to the registration office in the respective country for frequent registration. And as per this article, OCI card holder will be required to get their documents reissued only once. We have already discussed that. If a OCI card holder want to attain the citizenship of India, they must surrender their current citizenship. So if a person is holding a citizenship of, let's say, United Kingdom, he is staying in London and he wants to be the citizen of India, then he have to surrender his current citizenship of United Kingdom. And after that point of time, they can apply for Indian citizenship after 5 years of holding an OCI card. All these benefits are provided to them. OCI card holders also get benefits as far as ownership and ownership of properties, investment and other things are concerned. However, they cannot buy agricultural property in India under their name. Moving ahead to the next article. The given article talks about the very important aspect of international relation, that is the cross-border movement of human being. By cross-border movement, we simply mean that how people are traveling across the nation for different purposes. India has restored electronic visa for 156 countries. So people from these countries can now acquire electronic visa to travel to India. Context of the article says the Union Home Ministry, now you should remember that Home Ministry is in charge of providing the visa facilities. The Union Home Ministry has restored the electronic visa or eVisa facilities for foreigners from 156 countries who intend to visit India for business conferences, medical reasons, including the medical attendance. E-visa for the tourist is yet to be restored. So the notification does not allow the members to visit India for the tourist purposes. Earlier, government allowed 171 countries to avail this facility. However, this was restricted down in 2020 for emergency purposes. China, United Kingdom, Canada, Hong Kong, Indonesia, Iran, Malaysia, Saudi Arabia are still excluded from the list. Let us see the important pointers in the article. Electronic visa is a regular visa issued electronically. Electronically means it will be issued to you through online platform. Normal visa, on the other hand, are issued by the diplomatic missions. So you have to visit an embassy situated at a particular city and acquire the visa for your arrival or for your visit. The benefit for electronic visa is that it makes it easy to deal with such travelers, avoiding unnecessary risk and office work, as the visa cancellation can be communicated online. So if you acquire electronic visa and for unfortunate reasons there are certain issues with your electronic submission, the communication will be made online. So it would be easier for you to get the things done on easier and faster manner. So if you have to cancel your visit, you can do that in a faster manner without any diplomatic interference. Electronic visa or e-visa enables the prospective visitor to apply Indian visa from his or her home country online without visiting the Indian mission and pay the visa fee online. So in fact, the visa fee is also paid in an online manner. There are 5 categories of eVisa, which includes eVisa for tourist, business purpose, medical purpose, conferences, and medical attendant. It can be issued only at the airports and the seaports. So if you are going through a personal vehicle or a personal car or maybe a bus across the nation, you are visiting from Bangladesh to India, from Pakistan to India through land route, you will not be provided electronic visa. And in fact, there are only 28 airports in India and 5 seaports which provide the facility for electronic visa and its functioning. Moving ahead to the next article. So we come to the final article of the day. This article is related to the international affairs, where India's role is becoming more and more important year on year. The author has argued that the multipolarity scripted by the middle power. The middle power, which the author has argued, are India, Japan, Iran, and Turkey. And the author has argued that these nations can shape the multipolarity in the world. The context which author has talked about is that the foreign policy of Joe Biden is similar to that of the ex-president of United States, that is Donald Trump. He has also argued that US has formed a kind of new alliances, and the reason for that new alliances is the rising China, or to counter the rising China and its aggressiveness. Author says that these new alliances, including the one known as Quad, where India, Japan, and Australia are also part in the strategic autonomy in the Indo-Pacific, might cause a new Cold War. Third, the author has argued that there is rising Cold War among the Eurasian part of the globe and Indo-Pacific part of the globe. Well, Eurasian part of the globe is part of Northern Asia, where the majority of the power is exercised by Russia. On the other hand, the Indo-Pacific part is the southern part of Asia as well as the southeastern part of Asia, where many countries, including the extraterrestrial countries of Europe and United States, have their strategic interest. Finally, the author has said that the final shape of this Cold War or the new Cold War would be determined by the middle powers, including India, Japan, Iran, and Turkey. Why US is pushing for a new Cold War? Well, according to the author, the rising China and its aggressiveness in the Indo-Pacific is the first reason, and along with this, the Russian overindulgence in the Crimean Peninsula since 2014, when it has acquired the Crimean area from, and its role in US president's election, where Russia was alleged to participate in the illegal manner and tricked the elections of United States. Together, these reasons have created a kind of annoyment, or has annoyed Russia and China, who have been more closer to each other nowadays, and they have called for greater Eurasian partnership. This Eurasian partnership is turning out to be anti-West. This partnership, or this bonhomie between Russia and China, is actually being seen as condemning the Quad formation and the role of US in the Indo-Pacific. As per the author, the role of the middle powers, that is the 4 countries, could be as follows. The middle powers have the capacity to project power regionally, build alliances as they have done in the form of Quad, and support or disrupt. So support means like India can support US for its strategies, or China can disrupt Russia in its strategies. So they can support or disrupt the strategies of international powers. International powers here simply means US and Russia. So these middle powers have very important role in building and destroying the strategies of international power. Japan and India are already member of Quad, which shows that they have been building a kind of alliance to meet up the strategic needs of international powers. On the other hand, Iran has issues with the West, especially the United States, which went out of a nuclear deal. And this nation has been naturally an ally to Sino-Russian alliance previously. So technically and practically, Iran is anti-West and anti-US. On the other hand, Turkey, being a NATO member, has found its interest better served in Russia and China. So Turkey is taking a U-turn now and going in a more radical manner towards Russia and China partnership. So all these initiatives or all these steps are showing that there is a kind of multipolarity between the regional powers, especially the Eurasian and with that of Indo-Pacific. But these alliances have their own geopolitical realities. So all these powers, all these four middle powers have their own limitations. And these limitations have made them reluctant in making alliances as a rigid reality. So India has been reluctant in going a full-fledged partner or a member in the NATO. Now let us look at what issues or what limitations these nations face. Going by the Japan first. Now, Japan has a territorial dispute with China relating to the Senkaku Islands. Senkaku Islands have been historically a contentious issues between both these nations. From the security perspective, Japan relies more on the US. So after the Second World War, Japan has been a very, very close partner to United States when it comes to the security matter. On the other hand, the Japan have a very, very high trade dependence on China. So it shows a kind of paradox in front of Japan that on the one hand it has a strategic partnership with US and on the other hand it has economic dependence on China. Ex-Prime Minister Shinzo Abe earlier has tried to reduce the dependency upon US and try to pursue its own independence. Similarly, India has always been vocal about this strategic autonomy. Japan has already shown 200 billion partnership for quality infrastructure in Asia and Africa. As you must have read about, that India and Japan are also working on Asia-Africa growth corridor. On the other hand, India, given the kind of aggressiveness India is facing on its border with China, India has strengthened its ties with United States altogether. So formation of Quad or having different defense agreements ranging from COMCASA, BECA, India has been going very closer as far as strategic partnership is concerned with the USA. However, on the other hand, India also need to resolve its own border issues with China on its own. So any external interference in the resolution of border issue can create international negative repercussions. On the other hand, if India wants to be a complete dependent partner of USA, that won't be possible because India is still dependent on high defense imports from Russia, as you can see in the case of S-400 missile setup. Going by the Iran, West, we have already discussed that Iran is closer to Russia and China rather than the Western countries. Iran has focused largely to pursue its strategic independence because Iran has seen a sanctions imposed under the JCPOA agreement or Joint Comprehensive Plan of Action agreement, under which it has been facing setbacks in economic terms. And the last one is the Turkey. So Turkey has been a NATO member since ages. However, it is still distancing from the Western partners and increasing its geopolitical, military and economic alignment with Russia and China. But it still wants to pursue an independent policy by balancing its relation with the West and China. So whatever we have discussed about these four nations, it clearly shows, and author has himself argued, that all these four nations are nothing but going for strategic autonomy. These nations want to be members or partners to each and every big power in the globe and take the best benefit from there without going anyhow anti to any partner or global power. Lastly, author has argued that these countries are likely to pursue what has been called as strategic autonomy, and these four middle powers will thus make multipolarity. So after Cold War, after the end of Cold War, what world has seen is the rise of USA. So there was unipolarity. There was one nation which was ruling as far as geostrategy is concerned. However, these nations, these four middle powers, will make the geopolitics more likely to be a multipolarity rather than a new Cold War. So we will see a small description about what strategic autonomy is. It is nothing but an ability of a state to pursue its own national interest. So if India say, I mean my own business, it is a strategic autonomy. And the nation preferred foreign policy without being constrained by other state. So a nation like India, if follows strategic autonomy, it simply means that they are not at all constrained or pressurized by any international power. It must be formulated as per the security environment to ensure India's sovereignty and territorial integrity are maintained. So whatever India is doing, whether buying defense product from Russia or going with the defense exercises with USA, India is just trying to maintain its strategic autonomy without being a complete and blind partner to any specific power. Now comes the time for question of the day. The answer to the previous day question is option C, both 1 and 2. And on the right side of your screen, there is the question of the day. Read the question and answer it carefully and put your answer in the comment box. Thank you very much for being participative in this discussion. We will see you in the next discussion tomorrow. Till then, take care and work hard. Thank you.